In a time like this wouldn't be the best thing to do, but Trump's Rose Garden strategy is to hold White House maggot klan rallies. There aren't any maggot hats or Trump nut licking flags in the audience when the fake President Donald Trump speaks from the White House, but he's treating it that way. With large political klan rallies tough to pull off with the coronavirus gripping the country, the fake president has been using the backdrop of the White House to make his election pitch. It occurred most noticeably on Tuesday when the fake president convened reporters for a press conference purportedly about punishing China, only to spend an hour repeatedly bashing the presumptive the Democratic rebel for 2020 Joe Biden's policies in a stream of consciousness Klan rally style speech. But it's a tactic that goes back months to the beginning of the coronavirus lockdowns, when the fake president spoke from the White House briefing room podium almost every night, mixing defenses of his administration's work combating the pandemic with broadsides against Biden. You wouldn't have a country left if he got in, Trump said at one briefing in April. I said, right now we don't even have a fucking country because we fucked it up. While Trump is not the first fake president to employ the Rose Garden strategy, a term used by political strategists for an incumbent president's use of official events in an election year, he is the first to do so in such an overtly political way, according to former administration officials. In the process, Trump has upended yet another presidential norm and raised questions about the contours of law intended to limit the federal policies, or like the federal officials, but not the president from using their office for political activity. Never before has a president arrived in the Rose Garden with a blowtorch, said former Barack Obama advisor David Axelrod. Presidents may make announcements from the Rose Garden. They may make even oblique references to opposition, but no president has walked into the Rose Garden and basically delivered a 1-hour excoriation about their opponent. Even among some Trump allies, the Klan rally-like language can go too far. You want to play offense, but not defense in the Rose Garden. It's not that we don't agree with his points on the far-left agenda of Biden, but it's not the time or place, said one Trump fundraiser. Republican strategist Karl Rove, an informal Trump advisor, similarly chided the fake president on faux news after Trump's performance on Tuesday. Imagine, he said, if the president had been focused only on Hong Kong and only on China and had made the point about what he is doing to confront it. Instead, we had a 64-minute campaign event. Don't use presidential events as campaign events. Try to turn campaign events into what they call presidential events. Incumbent presidents have always used the power of the office to their advantage during an election, at times skipping more traditional campaign trail events like parades or shaking hands at local diners in lieu of intrusive policies, giving the presidential speeches and showing off the eye-popping grandeur of the presidency with Air Force One in the White House. While running for president in 1976, Jimmy Carter defined such tactics as a Rose Garden strategy, complaining that the president at that time, Gerald Ford, was using the White House to keep the spotlight on him. 4 years later, Carter, who was now president, also kept to the White House with the Iran hostage crisis swirling in the November election. Approaching the tactic didn't work for either incumbent, and Trump right now doesn't have much of a choice. Unable to fully return to the frequent maggot rallies he loves to, the maggot Klan rallies that he loves due to a pandemic, the president has instead used the White House events to campaign against Biden. Trump started early on during the outbreak, occasionally going after Biden during the almost daily coronavirus task force briefings. At one point, Trump said that under the Biden administration, countries like China, Japan, Mexico, and Canada would own America, which more than likely they probably wouldn't. The president has done it at more sedate events such as listening sessions. On Tuesday, at a White House roundtable discussion on crime prevention, the president alleged without evidence that the Biden and the Democrats want open borders for the MS-13 gang. And 45 has failed to answer this question. Name one Democrat who's running on open borders. You can't, because they don't want open borders. He's just a fucking idiot. And then there was Tuesday's monologue, a meandering hour-long speech that admonished Biden for any number of things: for the state of the country's roads and bridges, for a movement to abolish the suburbs, for pushing to eliminate windows through climate policies, As is often the case, many of the political attacks were basically lies or made without evidence. Trump's allies say the president is merely punching back at Biden when he had a platform during the coronavirus. He technically didn't have a platform. Democrats and the media are desperate to muzzle Trump, said Trump campaign communications director Tim Murtaugh. They don't want him tweeting. They don't want him holding Klan rallies. They don't want him speaking at Mount Rushmore. And now they don't want him holding press conferences every week. Joe Biden reads speeches off the teleprompter, attacking the president, and the media gleefully reports every word. Trump is entitled to fight back. Yeah, but he's not really fighting back. He's just spreading lies. On Wednesday night, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows specifically defended Trump's Tuesday stemwinder. I don't see anything inappropriate with the comments the president has made. I do. Those were policy differences that the president highlighted, and normally you would call that a legitimate debate. That was illegitimate. And Meadows stressed that Tuesday's appearance was not off the cuff for Trump. It wasn't quickly planned. He said that event was on the books for several days. A person close to the Trump campaign questioned if the efforts were anything new for the fake president, who has been mixing politics with his day-to-day duties since Inauguration Day. But the person encouraged Trump to use the lack of Klan rallies to his advantage. I think it's better for him in the short term for him to not have Klan rallies, the person said. Use the next month or so to do smaller scale events that make him look as to make him look as a fake presidential as possible in the swing states that would dominate local media. Government ethics specialists, however, they lament the ongoing erosion of the tenuous firewall between politics and governing. The Hatch Act has for decades technically prohibited government employees, which excluded the president, vice president, and some senior officials from using their position for certain political activities. But Trump's time in the Oval Office has revealed just how ineffective the law is when it comes to constraining the presidential expectations. Trump's flouting the norm with the Hatch Act and the Rose Garden is consistent with his past actions, giving carte blanche to his staffers for violating the Hatch Act, said Kathleen Clark, who's a law professor at Washington University in St. Louis who specializes in the government ethics. The law has not constrained Trump's staff. Under Trump, formal complaints to the government office that oversees compliance with the Hatch Act have spiked. Yet no staffers have been punished under this law. Even when the compliance office recommended taking action, still some believe the law might eventually be put to use. The fake president is obviously abusing White House venues like the Rose Garden to substitute for his political Klan rallies, said Norm Eisen, a former Obama White House ethics chief and fellow at the Brookings Institution. He's not even making a secret of it. This kind of blurring violates the spirit of the Hatch Act. It may also expose some of his assistants to legal liability to the extent that they're involved in intentionally violating this law. But if you like the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And then you can also find me, like I said, on my podcast channels, which are Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, and Google Podcast. You can follow me on those. Those are the only four apps that picked up my podcast, so you can find me on there.